Hi everyone, it's lovely to be here. Let me just share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Yeah,
That looks great, Aruba.
perfect. So hi everyone and welcome to this session of Ideas into Action. Let's start. So before we start, a small bit of housekeeping rules. Please mute your microphones. There will be some time to speak today, at which time you can unmute yourself. Please ask as many questions as you want in the chat. We want this page to be engaging and we will be engaging back with you. So talk to us. And finally, if you drop off the call for whatever reason, please rejoin with the same link you used to join before. So introducing myself, my name is Aruba. I am the founder of Aspiring Dreams and I am the alumni of Ideas into Action, founder of Aspiring Dreams CIC, as I mentioned before. I graduated in the summer in 2023 program, and I'm going to be delivering some of the workshops for you in this session. I will be sharing my own experience of using my real examples, and I will take you through I will go with you forward in the program to teach you about the program, and basically just to tell you again that I'm very, very excited to be with all of you today. And feel free to engage with me during the call or afterwards offline on LinkedIn. I am so happy to connect with you, and it's really actually a pleasure and an honor to be here. I was sitting where you are sitting right now 1 year ago, and I can understand how challenging it might seem at certain times. But the first step is always being here. So many congratulations, and I wish you all the best. So today's session is what is impact? Anyone knows? Anyone has any guesses what impact is? Anyone? Any comments or any words what you think impact actually is?
I think it's probably something you can influence with your word. For example, you can influence the society by creating something new and bringing something good into a society.
That is very true. It is exactly what it is, and we're going to be discussing it further. But I wanted to basically reintroduce the idea that I have been there and I have learned what impact is while going to a session when I was in your seat a year ago. So, like you said, it is about what we can do, what we can achieve. So, what the organization can impact, or what you want it to have what you want for it to have an impact on the whole world. That's the first thing, what an impact is, how it can change certain things around it. And secondly, we want to know how you're going to be measuring the impact in order to show the world what you have changed or improvised. So our session today, we have a packed agenda. The first thing is understanding what impact actually is. Then we will be going on to breakout rooms and you will start working on your own organizational impact statements. Before looking at how we measure the impact results, we will then give you a 5-minute break because we understand that all of this can be too jam-packed, so you will need a breather. And then you will come back to work in groups to start working on how you're going to be measuring your impact. We want to understand the before and after of the impact of your real project data. And then I will give you the chance to ask me any questions about my own experience, my impact reporting, and showing it to the necessary stakeholders. Finally, Lucas will come and tell us what is coming up next in the Ideas into Action program. So considering we've covered that, again, what exactly is impact? I have no idea what just happened, so sorry about that. So what the statement actually says is your impact is the positive difference, as you have mentioned already, or that your organization is having on the communities, the people who you are working with, or the environment. Impact is the long-term, sustained, and positive changes that you want to make on the world through your organization. Put simply, what is the difference that you want to make as an organization on the world, on society? We have been spending time thinking about organizational vision, mission, and values, which you have already covered. And these should have given you a really good indication to what the impact is that you want to have on society around you. Impact in the dictionary's definition is the effect or influence that you and your organization will have in the future. It is your impact which will motivate you, your team, your funders, your partners. Your vision, mission, and values will help you guide you and your organization, but your impact shows what you're doing and how much you're achieving. So basically, in a nutshell, you need to collect it. So why do you need to collect it? You need to show the influence or the impact that you're having. I know I keep on repeating the same word, which is impact, but the idea itself is that that is the key word, impact. You want to show the changes that you're having. You need to prove the difference you have had to date, which can also be to help you plan strategies for your future impact that you want to have. A lot of work, what we are going to be doing today is to assume what differences you're going to make. This is the impact we want to have. That's the assumption that this is the difference that we are going to potentially make. But once we have done our projects, you need to put the real numbers and difference that you made. You can then use this data as a more realistic target for future planning. Finally, this is often required of funding. As someone who's actually applied to a few bids myself, funders do need you to assume this data, both for grant purposes and for reporting for your project after it has finished. People want to know what you have spent their money on in terms of the impact you are having, how their money has been used in simpler terms. Differences are okay, so you do not need to worry about it. You don't need to make it perfect. You do not need to make a perfect assumptions. But what you need to do is to make a realistic assumption that your data can help to model to secure those grants. As you go on in today's training, you will understand what I mean by this. So impact reports. Why do we need impact reports? They have key data, they have before and afters, and they have assumptions. This is all that I have already covered with you. So you need all of these things in your reporting when you go back to the funders to tell them how you have spent their money or how they have actually done a really good thing by giving you the money. Sorry, 1 second. The most common way of showing your data is showcasing through impact reports, which you will be asked at the end of your delivery program. How did you spend that money? How were your assumptions actually, were your assumptions correct? Did you think of the right assumptions? At Aspiring Dreams, we did not know anything about impact reports. We didn't know that they were important. This led us to making a 10-page report for a 2-month-long program, which showcases what we were developing, emphasize on the work itself, and what we achieved. Though as the first report, it was a very, very, very comprehensive report. It was well liked, and we were told by the funders the current impact attained. We told the funders about the impact that we had made and how our project was actually important. This allowed us to later on in time allow more fundraising, and that particular report allowed us to showcase how we had supported the community and how we were making a difference. It also allowed us to show the funders that their funds did go to the project that we required the funds for, and it met all the targets and much more. So generally speaking, who are we trying to, sorry, one second. Who wants to see your impact? Generally, there are going to be 4 main groups of people that we want to show our impact to, who will see our data as well. First of all, as I've mentioned, the funders. The funders will want to know where the money is going. They will want to know how you have spent it, and they will want to know how exactly you spent it, what the money is being used for. They will want to know this often in a grant application. One actual example is a grant application I'm currently filling out, and I've been seeing that for the last 2 years now. And they have the same question in every one of their forms. How will you show data that this money has been used properly? Every single grant application I've seen or always showcases that question. So you need to keep that in mind. They will want to know how often, how you're thinking or assuming of using the grant before you begin the project and after it has finished. You have to collect the data for your project and be able to show them what you're doing. Your funders are going to want to see the impact of what the money is being used for. The second thing is partners and stakeholders in your organization. This could be trustees of your charity, directors of your CIC, or potential partners who will want to see exactly what work you're doing and how you have an impact on your project. The third is your team and organization. They will need to know what is happening, how much you're influencing or changing or improvising in your in the people, in the community, etc. They will need to know how many people they have or they are currently working with. It will galvanize a volunteer team to see the actual physical impact they're having on the project. And finally, your beneficiaries, or as I like to call them, service users. The people who your organization is impacting the most. They might want to see how you're engaging with your service users, or how the beneficiaries are engaging with the services that we are providing, or others around them. Or they might want to give you feedback and see how you're implementing this feedback in the organization and your work. The impact data collected might sound boring. I know, I faced it. It might not be that fun at times. I mean, I did make a 10 pages long report. It might not fun, it might be tedious, but it's really important as being part of the puzzle in playing the social impact game in the UK. This is what can stand you apart in your grant application. It is what can make you get a lot of traction, and publicly and crucially, it is the requirement of which you need to get reports on. Data can be fun, which I'm just learning. It doesn't always seem that way, but it can when you are analyzing it as a way that you are trying to make a difference in the world. The data can be there to support you. Now, it's worth noting that although there's a number of games, that doesn't mean you take away the human aspect of working with people, of running a community organization or a nonprofit. But these are simple requirements when working with social enterprises or nonprofits, that you will need to measure the impact to record your particular impact as a numerical data to be able to show the fundraisers, your funders, your partners, and your own team and an organization, and even beneficiaries to not stop working with you, basically. So there are 3 types of impacts that we're going to be discussing today. That it might be possible that you know one of those impact. It might be possible you know all three of them. So I'll open the floor up for answers. Do we know any type of impacts? Any suggestions?
It could be impact on ourselves or on any individuals
That's
as our
correct. That's one.
beneficiaries and on the world.
Okay, I understand, but let's
And globally.
Okay. Any other options? That is correct. That is correct. Any other options?
Can it be like social impact, environmental impact, and maybe a global one or universal? I don't know.
Okay, that's a really good answer. Any other suggestions?
Economic impact.
Okay. That's actually a good one. Any other ones, or shall I go forward? Well, I'll go forward before Lucas tells me that we have a short time. So we have three impacts, as I've mentioned. Environmental, I think Yulia mentioned it. We also have people, which both Zahra and Yulia mentioned. And then we have systems as well. So let's start with environmental. This basically refers to big organizations that might so the reason why this is here is you might know of an organization which is dedicated to having a positive impact on the planet. Again, any guesses? You might have heard the name, you might not have, so it's totally fine. So I'll move forward. So this organization is called Greenpeace. They are a world-renowned for their work on saving the environment. But what actually is Greenpeace, their impact statement? The impact statement states that Greenpeace works to expose environmental abuse and champion solutions to safeguard the future of the planet. So that is their impact statement. They're working for the environment, and they want you to know that this is the impact they're having on the environment to save the environment. This is really clear, right? It's a really clear path as to what the impact they want to achieve. The impact that they want to have on the world. And quite literally, they are having an impact on the planet to protect it. The second example is of my organization. As mentioned over here, my CIC aims to empower individuals to build a brighter future for themselves, to secure tomorrow. So what it actually means, my organization supports asylum seekers and refugees to build a better future for themselves and secure a brighter future for tomorrow. In practice, we are working directly with the people, helping them into universities and accessing higher and further education. So the impact that I'm having is directly on the people. Unlike Greenpeace, which is working to save the environment, we are working alongside the people to understand their needs and requirements to help them move forward. With our direct impact on people, we are able to reach different communities and support them to progress ahead in their chosen field of education. Our impact in this case focuses on people's idea of what they want to achieve and make their dream a reality. And then we have Yusuf Chishti. He started Experts by Experience. His idea is more of a systemic approach or a systemic impact. He is actually one of the alumni of Ideas into Action as well, the cohort being 2022. Now, the changes that they want to make is related to the system, as I've already mentioned. You can clearly see here that they want experts by experience to be the leaders of the third sector, which is the charity sector. They are trying to make a change to the system in a positive and meaningful way. They want to directly impact the system that they are operating within. Experts by experience, we will see later, but it's important to remember that they are a network of organizations to support experts by the experience to get a job in the charity sector. They have a job board to advertise their jobs, mentoring services, and support refugees and migrants in applying for jobs in organizations that are working in the charity sector. They want to have more representation and lived experience leaders in the sectors to change the narrative, system, and design of service. Moving forth, Lucas, do you want to take over? Because we know we want an interactive part
Yeah.
over here.
So this is a first in the turn workshop, guys. So bear with us, but we wanted to make this interactive and fun. Just to reiterate what I said in the chat, we're using 3 types of impact to illustrate impact and how you actually do it. Okay, so you might have economic impact, you might have slightly different types. That's also totally fine. And you can put that in the thing. We're just using 3 for now. But what I want you to do, what we want you to do, is to scan this QR code. Can everyone see this QR code? Are you seeing that? Yeah. Scan this QR code, okay? We want to see, what is the cohort doing? Let's have a look at what we're doing collectively, okay? Then what you're going to see on the next page, or you can go to menti.com, the link is in the chat, and you can fill in this number, all right? What we want to see is we want to see collectively, what's the cohort doing? So click on each area that you are working on. What are you doing in your organization? Okay, so let's see the impact that you want to be having. Are we ready? Okay, suspense is there. I've had 8 answers. I want a few more. We've got 15 people in this room. So I want to see 15. Oh, is everyone just give me a thumbs up? 9, 10? I don't know what that thumbs up means. I've never used this. I've used this before in workshops, but not done one ourselves. So let's see. All right. Click to the next. Does it work? Let's see. Oh. Okay. Can everybody see that screen on their phone? Can you now choose the image, which is your impact? Is it people? Is it planet? Is it systems? Is it planet and systems? Or is it people and planet? Or is it systems and people? Or is it everything? What is the impact you're doing? Okay, cool. So someone's doing everything. That's great. Really cool to see. Systems and people. We've got 1 person for the planet. How about everyone else? Other people doing everything. Okay, a couple of people for systems and people. Few more for people. This is really interesting. Really cool. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a few more people out there that haven't clicked what they're doing. People and planet. Few more in systems and people. Great. Amazing. Okay, so it's really interesting to see, actually, that if we think about it, amongst our peers now, we've got 5 people looking to change systems and also have impact on people. We've got 3 people looking to do just work with people, 2 people looking to do everything, relation to everything, and a couple of people as well working with the planet and people, with the planet or with the planet and systems. So it's very interesting to see how the cohort is shaped. Nobody is just systems change. So maybe we need to find somebody who's only systems change as well. No, I'm joking. We're all doing our little bit, but I think it's quite interesting to see where the cohort is. Majority of people are working with people and with systems. So those of you who are doing the planet, thank you for flying the flag for everyone else as well. You're all making a lot of change. The point of this, the real point of this is to see it, but also now think about what you've just clicked when we go in to the next breakout and exercise. All right, so think about what you just clicked. So now there's no excuses because you know the impact you're having. Aruba, back over to you.
Thank you, Lucas. Just going to share my screen again. So again, awesome activity, Lucas. Thank you for that. So now moving forward, you know which impact segment you are. It is time to write your own impact statement, an impact plan. As we are going to be continuing in our social business plan tool, as you have gotten the emails, Lucas, can you also share the link now in the chat? We are going to be in the executive summary. However, we're not working on the vision, mission, or values this week. But we will be working in the impact section, where we will start drafting the impact statement. Now, this is the change you want to make or you want to see. It is different to your mission and to your vision, which is the world you want to see and how you're achieving it. This is, ladies and gents, this is the impact you want to have on the world to reach that. Your organizational impact statement should be high level. It should be simple as to what you want to achieve and the impact you want to have on the world. It is the change that your organization is trying to make. You need to decide if you're making a change on the planet, on people, or system, which you already have done in the activity thanks to Lucas. Remember to keep the statements short and clear. It is the impact that you want to have. What is the changes your organization is doing currently? So the first thing in finding out about the impact is to assume, to forecast. So now, what is forecasting? Any guesses? So
forecasting is the, you can say, future. You can say when you see this, what is the outcome for your result in the future, expected result outcome for that. Basically, what I mean to say.
Yeah.
It is just a probability of something that, and you can make some sort of like budgeting forecast. You can take the data from the past, and then you can have to be forecast for the future, that where we are going and what is going to be impact on our whole project.
That's perfect. That's literally everything. So as Mohammed has mentioned, this is your basic guide or your assumption to your guide of what you can actually deliver and what you want your data to showcase. It is the assumption of making how you think you're making an impact on everything, on what you're delivering, but how you will use that data consistently against the real projects to create a new forecast for the future projects. So there's one current data that you're forecasting on, then using that forecast, you're making the next future forecasts as well. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a projection or the forecast against what to expect in the next few years. So the other thing we need to start doing while we're looking at the executive summary is that we're thinking about the impact. It's starting to make our forecast for the year ahead, as Mohammed has mentioned. In section 6.2, as you can see on your executive summary of your business plan, you can start to put out the key objective of your organization. These objectives need to be realistic, but also we are going to use these objectives for the rest of the sessions. So start thinking, realistically, how many people are you going to support over the next 1 year or 5 years? What are your goals for the next year? Or what is the impact you want to have over the next 12 months or 5 years on the planet? Or what is it that you want to change in the system over the next 12 months or maybe 5 years? You need to forecast. That's where the forecasting comes from. You're assuming, you're analyzing what's changing and how you're going to impact on that change in a real and measurable way. We need to be able to outline exactly what the difference is that you want to have, as well as we will use the assumptions against the real data as we will look into this further in today's session. If you're doing more work than you originally planned or less, this will help you plan and look ahead, what to do, how to do, and what is limiting. So for us, So let's start with our example, because I think it would be better coming from me. As I've mentioned, this was an impact statement. We aim to empower the population to have to follow their aspiration and secure a better tomorrow. That's basically that in a nutshell. We wanted to have a bigger impact to support individuals move ahead in their life, those who have limited understanding of how to progress. For this, we started strategizing on how we were going to reach our aims and therefore build our impact. We concluded or assumed that in 1 year, we would support 10 people get back into education as a pilot project. And we would build relationships with universities and organizations. We also planned on what we wanted to achieve in the next 5 years, which was to build good working relations with not only universities and organizations, but also companies which could support our service users to get experience in learning new skills so that they can compete in the job market. Alongside this, we set up small experiences ourselves for the individuals to build up their work experience. But that wasn't all. We also want to engage more people into learning and moving ahead in their life. So we were like, oh, why don't we support more individuals find a pathway in level 1, 2, and 3 accredited training, along with accessing higher education later on down the line, and support them on one-to-one basis, which we did. So then basically the idea is, what exactly is impact? So now we are going to break you up into a breakout room, and this is going to last for 35 minutes. You are going to forecast what your impact is in the next year, and then in the next 5 years, what you're going to achieve, how you will make that, not even how you're going to make that happen, but what changes you want to see. Remember, start by writing your impact statement in your executive summary. This does not need to be perfect, but as clear as you are, it would actually help you quite a lot, coming from experience. Once you have done this, write your organizational 5-year goals. Once you know what you want to see, what changes you want to see in the 5-year period, write about your 1-year goal. What changes do you want to see after 1 year? Try to spend time thinking about what is the real impact you can have, and how it's going to shape your work. We will break you up into breakout rooms. You are going to have 3 amazing hosts or facilitators who you can ask any questions from. All 3 of them are listed over here, and these sessions are for deep work, you guys. So what we did in our cohort, we used this time to ask as many questions as we potentially could from our facilitators. So use this time wisely and ask questions. So Lucas, over to you again. So shall we break out in rooms, please? So welcome back, you guys. I hope you got all of your answers, all of your questions answered basically. And we will be moving in with the next things. So considering now you know, or you have understood how forecasting works, we will now understand how to capture the actual impact, and crucially, how do you show it? So how are we doing for time, Lucas? Just before I go in deeper.
We're okay. We'll just adjust.
Perfect. Sure, perfect. Thank you. So how do you show the impact that you're having to everyone who needs to see it, is the first question you would be thinking of. You do this through a number of different ways, but the main way you do it is through the real data. You need to start thinking about how you're going to capture this data and what you're going to do with it to be able to show the impact you're having. Now, to get this data, you need to start somewhere before you are doing a project. So you start by setting up some key metrics for yourself. So what is a metric? That's the basic question that I thought when I was looking at the slide. It's really the core and important thing that you're going to be measuring. This is going to be the thing that you are collecting data against. This is what you need to decide to be able to show the impact you're having. Your metric is the data point that you will be collecting against. Just remember this, and we will discuss this in the later slides. You next need to think about how you're going to collect this data for this particular metric. So are you going to do qualitative or quantitative data collection, or are you going to be doing both? We all understand what qualitative and quantitative data is. Am I right?
Yes.
And perfect. Thank you so much. And then the last thing is you're going to be comparing your before and your after. Your assumptions, which are your before, and then the data that you've collected as your after, how much you've actually done what you said you were going to do, or even more than that, further from what you expected yourself to do, how much more have you done from it? So for example, turn, everyone at Turn, we had a metric as to how many people graduate from Ideas into Action program. This is our metric. Now we want at least 82% of the participants in intake to graduate from the program, which is our quantitative data set. And this is our before as well. But the actuals, we won't know, which is the after. We won't know until the 2024 when you guys will be graduating. So we will be able to compare then how many people actually did graduate. This data backs up what your organization is doing. It shows the need and it shows the real work that you are doing as well. It shows the people around you, the actual impact that you're having. Now let's get into detail with all of these particular points. The first thing is the key metrics. What are you measuring? So this is going to determine your impact of what you're having. Because you're going to collect the data against the metric, sorry, 1 second. So because you're going to be gathering the data against your metric, it will be up to you how you're going to collect it. It will be up to you how you're going to show the impact of your organization through this particular key metric. So your impact metric will change based on what you're doing, what you're collecting, and what type of changes you are trying to make. So let's take a closer look of the different types of examples. So the first thing is the participant, which is maybe you're trying to see how your work is impacting someone's self-belief or confidence. This would be the impact of the metric that you're trying to change, which is the participant's own self-belief or confidence. You want to increase this, right? The next thing is perhaps you're working for the planet, so you want to plant a lot of trees. Then the number of trees planted and the carbon dioxide they absorb will be another metric, how much impact or how much difference this has made. The third thing is maybe you're trying to, maybe you're running a course for people who cannot otherwise attend them. In this case, you want to be able to show how many people actually attended your course. And maybe you're looking into policy change. This one is a little bit harder, but not impossible. So you need to decide how you're actually going to change the policy and what you're trying to change in the policy. In total, you can have as many key metrics as you like, but it is advisable to start from 3 to 5 different metrics and then go forward from there. So for example, actually no. So now once you have the metric, you need to work out how you're going to collect the data. So what are you going to do in this data? How are you going to collect it, qualitative or quantitative? Now it's really simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. Put simply, quantitative data, which is a use of numbers. The data can be counted or measured in numerical ways. So you collect numbers to show your impact. 3 people attended, 10 people attended, 15 people attended, anything you want. Maybe you do this through completing service, which are online service, they can score your class and give you feedback. Or maybe you are using this data to collect attendance, like we were discussing, 4 people attended or 10 people attended. We can also use self-evaluation skills. Maybe you can get more information about through evaluation scale, which people like to fill out before the start of the project. The point is, you need to start collecting this data. It's really important and useful for your organization. The other data you can collect is called qualitative data. And this data is a non-numerical, and it's more in-depth, and it's a person-centric or person-centered data collection method. So this would be feedback you're getting from the participants, or in-depth interviews, or maybe in-depth surveys, or seeing or acknowledging the people, what they are saying. And perhaps you have to focus on groups to get people to talk about how they're feeling, or certain topics, different things. It depends on what you're trying to gather. Maybe you have online forums, maybe you want to look into comments because it's an online session, or maybe even in this particular session, you can look into chats, how people are actually working or communicating with each other. There are different types of data out there. It depends on which data makes you comfortable and how you start to analyze it. So, for example, the actual work done by Yusuf, this is an actual example from Yusuf, which he shared with us. He saw different data that we saw different data that he was collecting to create and showcase how impactful the system change was. So first, we can see from the numerical or quantitative data that Yusuf is capturing the amount of jobs he has advertised on the job board. So we can see that he has made one of his impact metric to be direct system change, which is becoming a job board where he advertises jobs for refugees within the charity sector. He has gone further from the data, and you can see that out of all of these jobs, he had advertised 74 of them. He had directly supported, in all that he has done, he has supported 74 individuals in different job application processes. Further, he has supported people with direct job applications in other roles. The next metric that Yusuf has used, he has shared with us, is about mentoring services. Now, if we look into the pie chart, we can see that he has specified what type of support his mentors have been offering during these sessions. His impact metric then is mentoring sessions, but specifically it is looking at the data around the mentoring sessions and how much is being focused on and on what areas. The last thing he has shared with us is some data around how many organizations have joined the network. Again, a metric. Now, this is an important metric for him because he wants to be able to change the system so the organizations are within the system, and then onboarding into his network will help him change that form within the system. But what is even more telling here is that you see that only 16 organizations have not published a job on their network. Now, most of the quantitative data from Yusuf, we can see most of it over here. But we could dive deeper into these data and collect qualitative data if we had conducted interviews and asked more questions, or maybe done surveys around the topic. Similarly, we introduced a pilot project in the beginning of 2023 to tackle a common misconception around education. We started our key metrics with the following. For quantitative analysis, we had how many people attended the introduction session and straight throughout the sessions. We also worked on the survey on how their experience was on a Likert scale. So when supporting further education students and potential scholars, we could analyze how many people were actually progressing. We then went on to find out how many students actually went on to universities and colleges. And finally, using just the numbers of how many individuals needed our help to navigate the pathway towards their goals. That was our 4 quantitative data that we wanted to collect, or our key metrics. We also looked into qualitative data, which was done or which was collected through adding in surveys. We also did interviews of one-to-one interviews with the person who wanted our help. And we lastly built up confidence, in which we started looking at how the person was in the beginning as compared to how they were at the end. So these were our our three different qualitative key metrics that we wanted to look into further. With this, I believe you guys have a 5-minute break, because I understand that we've had a lot of, we've covered a lot, and you guys do deserve a break after all of this. So when we come back, we're going to start thinking about what data we're going to collect and how we're going to collect it, according to what you guys feel more comfortable with. So I will see you guys in 5 minutes. Welcome back, you guys. So now we want to start working again on your social plan. So again, the link, if Lucas can share it again with you guys. We have already mapped out your goals for the year ahead, and for the 5 years as well. Now we want you to be very specific and start mapping out your goals and your key milestones over the next 12 months. I want to define the term quarter, as you will see in your summary as well. The term quarter is commonly used in businesses, as most of you will know, and also in financial and impact terminologies. But it really is simple, actually. When we say a quarter, what we mean in yearly terms is that it's every 3 months. So the first quarter is January to April. The second quarter is from April to July, and so forth. So when we're looking at...
we're still seeing the break screen, just by the way.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I didn't realize. Sorry, thank you so much.
It is a fantastic GIF, but yeah.
So when we're looking at writing milestones, you want to put in the big milestone for your organization over the next 12 months, which we're building towards for your impact. For example, you could pilot your project between Q1 and Q2 next year. Or maybe you want to have your MVP live by Q3 and Q4. This is your document. It can change. It is flexible, but be realistic and start to map out exactly what the milestones are for you over the next 12 months. So moving forward at Aspiring Dreams. So I want to give you my own example of my impact planning. As an organization, you need to be clear on what you want to achieve. So as we have clarified, this was my impact, that I wanted to have. For this to be achieved, for us, because we wanted to have a bigger impact to support individuals move ahead in life, those who have limited understanding of how to progress, we wanted to strategize in that way. The word strategizing is very commonly used when you're trying to figure out what your 1 year or 5-year goal may look like. We therefore wanted to build an impact. We broke down our 1-year-long goal, which was to support 10 individuals, as I've already mentioned, and we wanted to support them to get back into education and work on becoming on building better relations with universities and organizations. We also planned on what we wanted to achieve in the next 5 years, which I've already discussed with you. So how we broke it down to different quarters is that in the first quarter, we decided on making contacts with universities and organizations which supported 10, and while we supported 10 individuals. And I recruited volunteers along the way, because we knew that our impact was beginning to grow. In our second quarter, we strategized that we could set up and deliver a collaborative session with the university and get 15 more service users involved who would benefit from our delivery of the project. We then decided that we could support more applicants to apply for scholarships and recruit a further of 5 more volunteers to help on one-to-one basis with the applicants to apply for scholarships and university applications. And lastly, in our final quarter, we decided to have a diverse pathways, to devise a pathway for individuals who wanted to access further education and later progress onto higher education, how that would work, what that would include, all of those things. We looked into increasing our volunteer and our network by having more people who were more passionate about the cause, therefore supported more people along the way. In doing so, this form actually helped us quite a lot. So how would you go about with this? The metrics that were introduced would be showed in the metric name. Sorry, 1 second. So what are you trying to measure? What differences are you trying to gather? Is it the number of people who are accessing your trainings, or is it the number of people you're making a contact with? You would describe that metric in a clear, precise way to make it easier for yourself, to explain how this data will help show your impact. Will it be quantitative or qualitative? The more information this description has, the easier it is for you to show it to change makers and stuff, or your funders, or your stakeholders, etc. You would then use the idea of forecasting in your year. How do you forecast this would change? How would this reflect on your long-term planning or your long-term goals, which you wrote earlier? How would that work? So for us, this is how we started to work on the metric system. We said that we would support scholars. We then described what we meant by scholars. We meant higher education people who wanted to get a scholarship from within the university, and how many people we envision or we forecasted who will go forward into the university with a scholarship. Similarly, we did the same thing with supporting further education students, supporting people to formulate a pathway towards their aspirations or building up their confidence. We clarified what we meant by it, how we were going to gather all of our data. And then we assumed or forecasted that these were, into first year, we were only going to support these many people because of the people we currently have working, or volunteers we currently have. Using that data, we then forecasted for the next 5 years of what we were expecting and how we would manage that data. Would it be qualitative, quantitative, and how it would be easier to showcase it. So what we've done over here, we will give you about 30 minutes to forecast your impact planning, forecast your impact, and find out and write your 4 key milestones that you want to achieve in your time. You want to describe those 3 key metrics that you want to find out qualitatively or quantitatively, and forecast your objectives against these metrics for the next 5 years as well. So I will leave that up to Lucas to send us back into breakout rooms, please.
Who knew data could be so fun, huh? What a session. I love
Very
that.
nice. Very nice. It's like, yeah, it's really guiding, you know, it's a very good structure actually. Yeah.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that, and it is, and I think this is what I said to my group. It's fun, and it's also amazing to see, like, wow, this is the direct impact I could have in 5 years' time if I work towards that. It's really cool, you know, that we're all social entrepreneurs in this room. We all want to make a difference in the world. You will see a problem in your society and you're trying to solve it. Putting it on paper is also like a really good way to be able to be like, this is what you're working towards. So I'm glad to hear that, Wahid.
Shall we start?
Absolutely. Back to you, Aruba.
Thank you. So welcome back, you guys. So from what I've heard, you guys really enjoyed it, and you guys are thinking for what to do next. So before you start over there, before you start projecting or forecasting what's going to happen next, the idea is that this data will help you and your organization to showcase your impact, which you already understand by now. You need to collect this data, which again, you understand. So then you can analyze it, the whole of the data, what you have collected. You analyze to find the similarities and differences. You start to look at trends, what can and what should work and what will not work, so you can not take it further. This will help you see common things so that you can project the future numbers and make assumptions about the future data. You will also want to use this data and make it public. It is this data that will then be used to prove your impact. It is what shows your impact and what you use your data to make changes about in the future. Like I said, what to take forward and what to stop taking forward. By analyzing the whole data and spotting trends, you can make some adaptations to your work and will be able to meet the needs of the people, the planet, or the system, depending on what your actual impact is going to be on. You can then also use this data to have more of an impact on what you're trying to achieve. You can celebrate your achievements, who you actually achieved this, or you can find room for improvement, depends on how you see the data. All of this data can be used to create a bigger and a vaster image. So for example, like I mentioned before, we also did something similar. Sorry, 1 second, just checking something. So yeah, before this is what we assumed, that we were going to help 3 people get into higher education. So I'm only going to focus on the first year. We were going to support 5 people to get into further education. We were going to help 2 people with supporting their pathway, their aspirations, their goals. We were also looking to interview 7 people to see how we did build up their confidence. What happened during this project, people came to us and they wanted to find out if there were external grants available that could help them get into a master's course or a PhD, or even get smaller grants to fund for travel and other expenses. So that's why we had to introduce a different section. But all in all, I'll show you what we did differently. So these were what we predicted or forecasted to help the number of people we were going to help. What happened after we finished our project is that we actually supported 4 people who actually are currently in universities, who in their higher education course. We supported 7 people to get back into further education, including level 3 and level 2s. We did support different people to find out what route they want to take in terms of getting forward into their education and to enhance their experience overall. So we've helped 5 people instead of 2 people. And lastly, in terms of confidence, we actually ended up helping 10 people build up confidence. Now they are happy to go around in society and be like, oh, now I can talk to people and I'm not scared if my English isn't that good. So that's one thing that we achieved. Looking at this particular data, we then wanted to forecast the next preceding years, year 2, year 3, and year 5. So we saw that these are the potential changes that we would be able to make. So that is why we say keep a track of what you say and what you might forecast compared to what you do actually get at the end of it. So yeah, any questions? I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
We're going to open to the floor in just 1 second. I think, Aruba, thank you so much, first of all. Do you want to stop sharing so we can see you? And I'll spotlight you to everybody. But we are going to take questions from the floor. We've got a little bit of time still. We've got about 10 minutes for Q&A for you guys to ask you questions. But I think, first of all, Aruba, amazing presentation and really great to see what you're doing, and amazing. You've made data fun, first of all, thank you, but really cool to see how you've transformed it as well. I've got a couple of questions around the data before we open it up. I guess my first question is, you know, how did you actually use the data you collected?
I used the data to finalize what I could change, how I could impact, and then using that data forecasted compared to when I was making the report at the end of it, I then compared it. I was like, okay, this was the prediction and this is what I have achieved, which showed that there was actually money going into good use and how many people were actually being impacted by it. So that's how I used the data.
And did it show, from what I saw on that thing, did it show like there was a bigger demand as well?
It did, yes.
And who actually asked to see it then? You sort of wrote an impact report, but who was asking to see this data? Who have you shown it to?
The funders who initially funded us. So they were the ones who asked us to write a report. And that's the funny story. We actually wrote a 10-page long report for the first 2 months of projects.
Right, right. So the data is pretty important in terms of funding, but also that impact and seeing that. And if you could say, what is the most useful thing that you've like about the data that you collected?
I think everything is useful. Like I used to be cautious around the phrase data is fun, but it actually is. It gives you an insight what the world actually needs, how your organization's trying to make a difference, how many people are actually attending or coming into the course which are benefiting from it, and then you showcase that all of that information in different ways. I use pie charts to show it to the funders that this is how it has impacted the small funding that you've given us. Can you give us a bigger pot of funding so we can impact a bigger cohort?
That's really cool. That's really interesting actually to see that. And having that conversation with funders, is it hard or is it okay when you've got the data?
It is actually a lot easier if you have the data because you have the numbers to back it up. As a recent example, I was at another organization's funding event, and I was talking because I am a beneficiary of that organization. So I was talking to that funder, and she actually said something that stuck to me, which is like, we rather see quantity of how many people you have impacted rather than anything else to showcase that where they were, how they have managed to move forward. They want to see numbers, which was actually really impactful. But at the same time, it also shows that within that quantity, you have to show quality of using their quotations and stuff to take it forward.
Cool. And I think that's a really interesting point as well around that. You will get some funders, just to say, who will only ask for quantity. And you have to also be able to say that, you know, you've got quality approach in there as well. Has the data changed your organization approach? Have you changed as Aspiring Dreams because of the data?
It has. We're recruiting more volunteers now because we have a whole lot of people who want our support and our help. While we're doing that, we're also using the data to find out where our most precise locations are for the people to come join in our sessions. And our data also gives wider information of what are the different levels of things that the people are needing. So in my last slide, what I showed that we had to introduce one subsection as well, which was grants. So using that information, if the data wasn't there or we weren't collecting data, we wouldn't have found out how many people actually were looking into external grants that we can support them with.
So you've added a brand new service because of the data.
Exactly. Yes.
Really cool. Amazing. Thank you so much, Aruba. Well, we've got 5 minutes still. We've got 10 minutes, but 5 minutes of a Q&A left. If I want to put it to the floor, has anyone got a question for Aruba?
Yeah.
Was that Mohammed Suleiman, please? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, for the workshop. It's really, it's really important for us. And also thank Lucas for all the questions that you asked, because it's really beneficial for what we're doing now. And my question is, how do you, collect the data? Is there any specific ways to collect the data, like a survey, or is there other ways to collect the data? And my second question is, I nearly forgot. Yeah, for the grant, you know, for the grant, it's like for the minimum, you know, for how many years or how many, you know, for how many service money they can give you.
So I'll start with the first question. Initially, I wasn't sure how to collect data, so I started with surveys and interviews. But during my sessions, I started having more information, like how many people were coming into the sessions, quantitative. And I started interviewing on one-to-one what people thought we could change, how we could change it, if they wanted to volunteer with us at a later time. If they did, why did they want to? So it kind of gave me a broader picture on all my dimensions of what we could change, how we could adapt. So I had both quantitative and qualitative data at the same time. And in terms of your does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's not really clear. Can you a little bit clarify, you know, like interview, what kind of interview you mean?
So I made my own questions, like, why did you come to this session? What did you get out of it? Will you want to volunteer with us at a later stage if we have someone in a similar situation? If and it's like open-ended questions. So you go from one question to the next to the next. It's never composed. You just open the floor like you're asking me questions right now. That's how I would question the people. So they tell me, oh, we're here for your help to go into higher education. What course you want to do? Which university? Why do you want to go into higher education? What do you think the difference it would make for you to go into higher education compared to what difference it would make for you not to go into higher education? It just brings out an open conversation. So that's, although I call it an interview, but it's actually an open conversation where they can just openly answer things. It allowed me to build in different quotations from the person themselves to see how much they're benefiting from our sessions.
So hi Aruba. I got a related question to this area. Is at this stage for us is how to manage. I know the data is accessible and you can find a lot from the data, but we need to do a qualitative as well, qualitative research at this stage. How we can manage to do interviews and surveys.
That's actually a fun question. We did that in we gave out a leaflet for the people who wanted to be involved. It meant that we were going to be around for one more day, and anyone who wanted to share any advice or anything how we could take forward our sessions could come in and join in the conversation. That's how we did it. But again, it depends on you what you're comfortable with. If you want to have a focus group where they have open conversation, you can have that. If you think it's better to have a direct conversation with a couple of people, you can have that. It depends on you. But I would actually say let the people decide if they want to come rather than you picking them.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries, thank you. Mohammed, I didn't get your second question, sorry. I forgot.
I mean, when you apply for the grant, like the founders, they give you like at minimum, is there minimum specific time they give you? You have to do this money to your service at certain time, or they're gonna give you just open funding for?
I understand the question. So the first time I applied for the grant, it was for a whole year. So I applied for the grant for the whole year. That I told them it might run for the whole of 2023, but because the need was so imminent at that time, we actually finished our project in the first couple of months. So that's what happened with us. But again, it depends on the grant providers or the funders themselves. If they say that they want the whole project to be done in a year, or if they say the project needs to be done within a couple of months, or you can also say that I want a total of 6 months, not longer than that. But again, it's all in the criteria itself.
Okay, great. Thanks for that.
I think Fuad had a question as well initially.
Sorry, who?
Fuad.
Yeah, sorry. It's just like it's really quick one. I just want to ask you: did the data you collect help you applying for different grants you were not thinking to apply for like when you started?
I am, yes, it is actually helping me quite a lot to finalize where to apply, how to apply. It gives us a rough estimate of how many people we have worked and supported and how much we are looking forward. And that's one thing that the grant providers or funders really like. We need to have a track record.
Got time for one more. Got time for one more question.
Can I ask? Aruba, fantastic session. Thank you. And well done on your project and organization. I just wanted to ask, is there any, I know you said you do interviews and surveys and whatnot. Is there a digital way of data collection that you have found useful that you would be willing to share with us?
I am working on it, if I'm being honest. I am working on it. The only thing is that because the people that I work with, it depends on what they're comfortable with. That's the only thing. So yes, we do have online forms. When we were doing, when we wanted to start our project initially, it was, I think people were not seeing each other because of the whole COVID and stuff. We did introduce online forms, which, as Lucas has mentioned, the Google Forms and Type Forms, I believe. We did introduce them. However, people did not answer questions. So we then decided to go full paper, and when we delivered sessions in person, we did give them out those paper questions because we needed our track record as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, Google Forms, Typeform. I've got training sessions on that if you want to see. Just before I take over, I'm going to just say thank you so much, Aruba. That was amazing. What a session. Please join me, everybody, in saying thank you. Thank you for the content delivery, for designing that, making data fun. Found it really useful and insightful. I hope everyone else did as well.
It's really great.
Yeah, please take yourself off mute. Feel free to say thank you to Aruba just before I share screen.
Thanks, Aruba.
Thank you very much.
Amazing work.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Aruba.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for liking it.
I'm gonna just hold you guys for. I see a few people have dropped off. Don't leave yet, please. Give me 1 or 2 minutes of your time. I promise. We're nearly done. Okay, it's a lot. It's a lot to do in one session, isn't it? Right? Please book a session with me or with Bija Saholo. Let's do these Spark sessions. I've got to confess, I think I've only had 1 or 2 this week, and I'm working with 12 people. That's not enough. So please book them with me. I've got a session with Fuad tomorrow. He's coming to the office. Great stuff. I love that. Please, guys, book these sessions with Bija Solo, with myself. We're here to work with you and help you write these metrics down, get your impact down, give you feedback on your business plans or whatever else it is that you want to work on. But we're making amazing progress already. We're only like a month into the program, right? So think how far we've already come and how far we have to go, which is our next workshop. Ideas into Action is Tuesday, the 12th of December, Trading Safely Workshop. Now, you would have noticed we've had Mariam last 2 weeks ago and now Aruba, Ideas into Action alumni. They will be back in the new year to deliver more workshops. But for our next workshop, which is all around registration, we have our friends from Sistren Legal Collective. And there you can learn how to register as a CIC or as a charity. I believe Bija Saholo is going to post this link in the chat. alongside as well the link for our Spark sessions. But please, we need to know whether you want to register as a CIC, a social enterprise, or as a charity. These are lawyer friends. They are professionals. This is an amazing opportunity to get 2 hours and 15 minutes of lawyers' time. If anyone knows lawyers, they'll know they're incredibly expensive. Yeah. So these guys have come and done it pro bono. They run an amazing collective called the Sistren Legal Collective. And the whole idea about their collective is to get access to legal terminologies and law and all of the difficult bureaucracy that comes with it for free for people who are just starting on their non-profit journeys. So they have agreed to come and do a workshop with us to teach you how to register as a CIC or as a charity. Now, you might be thinking, I've already registered as a CIC or as a charity. I'm sure this session is still going to be useful if you want to learn how to register as something else, or if you want to ask any questions relating to the registration process or something that you've already done. I know a lot of people last year had already registered as a CIC, and they came and they joined and they wanted to see how you actually register as a charity, because you can convert your CIC into a charity if you ever wanted to do that one day. So we still recommend coming, and it's also just a great time to ask questions to a lawyer. We can go a bit off-piste from just registration as well, if there is time, okay? But I need you to fill out this QR code because we need to split you into groups as to what you want to learn about. We'll be sending this as well on Friday. We also have another financial workshop tomorrow, the Turn Skills ones. I just want to say that the Turn Skills and Turn Open Startup workshops that we publicize, they are optional. If you want to come tomorrow, Thursday the 7th of December, from 5 to 7, use AI to help you with financial planning, you're welcome to come. If you can't make it or you don't want to, that's also totally fine. They are optional. They're bonus workshops. The one we had today, the Ideas into Action ones, they're compulsory as part of the program, but these ones are just bonus ones, okay? So don't feel pressure. I know a few people have messaged me being like, oh, I can't attend all of these workshops because there's so many every week. I totally get that. It's fine. Don't worry. We can send you recordings. But if you want to come, if you're thinking, you know what, I've got nothing better to do on a Thursday evening, 3 weeks before Christmas, then please do come as well. Okay? So that is tomorrow. Now, finally, we talked about data. We need our own data. But please, everybody, you're going to be collecting data. Now I want to collect your data, sensitively, of course, but collect your surveys and tell us what you thought of the session. We're trying something new this year with Mariam and Aruba, developing the content and delivering it. And I've got to say, personally, I think it's working amazingly. But I need to know from you guys what it's like. How is it? How is it having people who have done this program, who are doing their social enterprises, deliver this content? What's it like? For me, it was incredible to hear Aruba talking today. But we want to hear that. Aruba wants to hear this as well. Please give us some feedback. Is there anything else you would have liked to have learned along the way? Is there something you would have liked more time for? Or are you also a bit like Lucas? Please stop talking now. It's 8:05. So anyway, guys, please do fill out these forms for us. It would be super helpful, and it really helps us grow and improve our service as well for you guys. So that's it. Thank you once again, Aruba. What an amazing session. It flew by. I can't believe that was 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's just disappeared. Thank you. We'll be in touch with the recording on Friday and all of the links. Please do fill out the feedback. Please do book sessions with me and Bija Saholo. Have a wonderful evening. And once again, Aruba, great session. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Thank you.